Good morning. It's June 15th. Very, very nice day here in Northeast Ohio. It's about 65 degrees, low humidity. Sun's out part of the time. Perfect day to get some work done. We had a bad storm come through yesterday. Took out the power for several hours in the afternoon. High winds. I had a couple tops of trees blow out, so I'll have to clean that up. Hail about the size of a quarter coming down at about a 45-degree angle. It's probably about the worst hailstorm I've seen in this area. And I don't know, we got well over an inch of rain pretty quick period of time. So I think most of the trees, I was out earlier this morning and most of the roads were clear. I could see where some trees had come down and they'd already been taken care of. So I think most of us made it through without too much hardship. I know I started my generator up and tried to keep a little bit of normalcy. So anyway, I checked the trench. Thought it might wash out, but it actually did pretty good. All that compacting must have really helped. So that's it. I won't be messing with it for a while. Maybe if it settles too much, I'll have to top dress it and bring it back up to level. I don't know. Time will tell on that. Straw stayed in place, didn't wash away, so that's all good. My next project, I think, maybe when it dries out a little bit, I got another drain right here that I would like to go ahead and tie into that main line. So I'll let it dry out so I'm not working in the mud, and I'll try to take care of that sometime here over the next few days. There's the top of the tree that broke out. Other than that, I didn't have any damage. A lot of small twigs and leaves that blew off the tree in the wind. Other than that, this is it. So I'm blessed in that respect. Sounds like they've got a prerequisite deal as pertaining to the Iran conflict. I noticed that stock market's way up today. Gas prices are falling. Gold and silver are creeping back up. So all's right with the world. I just hope this deal sticks. I know they still have a lot of talking to do to work out some other details that for an enduring peace. And you know, both sides are going to be using this time to rearm just in case it falls through. So I think we need to keep our fingers crossed and hope our current leaders know what to do and are doing the right thing. So that's it for now. I'm going to go clean up that little bit of brush that's in the front yard. Here's the bridge that's about a quarter mile down the road from my house. It ended up taking some pretty good damage from a large tree falling on it. This is the oak tree. It ended up damaging the bridge. It took a mighty powerful wind to snap that off. It wasn't rotted much in the center. Maybe a little rotted, more rotted than what I thought. Let me take a look. there was still a lot of good wood there. It took a lot to snap that off. And there's the damage to the bridge. I don't think it's irreparable, but there are some holes in the roof and it doesn't look as nice as it used to. It's always fun to drive down here on the four-wheeler and drive through it. You get that old wood smell, kind of takes you back. And they have festivals every year where people drive around. There's other bridges in the area like this, similar, and they make a tour out of it. So that's in October, I believe. So I'm sure they'll have it fixed by then. There's the roof damage that is sustained. Nothing irreparable, I'm sure. This bridge was originally built back in the 1890s, so it's been around for a long time. Okay, I'm heading back to the house to finish that few branches that fell in my yard. As you can see, I already started cutting it up, and I used a chain with the four-wheeler to drag the bigger pieces. I think I'm going to take one of these and put it in the pond, let it sink. It's a real good cover for the small fish. You'll notice a day or two after you put a piece in like this, they will be swimming in and out between the branches and stuff to hide from the bigger fish. What I used for this job is just my little small 10-inch electric chainsaw. It comes in really handy. I originally bought it just to cut small branches overhead where my bigger saw was hard to handle, and it's always dangerous to use the saw overhead. It's inherently dangerous, but this one I feel better with because it's light and not as powerful. So you cut these small, made these small cuts like so easily. So with the new batteries and stuff that they have, they work great. They got a lot of power, and you can get them up to 18-inch bars on them, I think. So at least in power, they in size, I should say, they rival the gas-powered chainsaws. But I think if you got a big job, the gas-powered is still the way to go. So anyway, I'm gonna jump back on this and get it finished up. Well, I got the rest of that tree cut up, and here is the one I selected to throw into the pond. What I normally do is I'll tie some string or a small rope to it so that later on I can retrieve it when it's no longer serving its purpose. And I'll come out here tomorrow, and there'll be a lot of small fish using this as cover. So that's the plan. I'll show you what it looks like when I get it in the water. Okay, so there it is in the pond. You can see the string and the little stake I put in to hold it in place until it sinks to the bottom. And you'll never know it was there. But I can come out probably tomorrow, and I'll see a lot of little fish hanging around it and swimming between the branches. So, well, I bought a tree at Lowe's today, a couple trees that were half price. So I got to get them in the ground as soon as possible, give them the best chance for survival. Here's one of the trees that I just purchased at Lowe's, half off. It's called a dappled willow. And supposedly it likes full sun. And if it's like other willows, wet locations. So I think this is perfect spot for it. I really like it. I can imagine it's not supposed to get too big, maybe 10 foot tall max. And maybe they said a 10-foot spread, but it's highly prunable, and I can imagine next year pruning it back to what are the cheerleader things, of pom-poms, to maybe look like a pom-pom or flat on the bottom to have that mushroom effect. So I think it'll be a great place for it. I like it already. So I got another tree to plant, and I'm gonna go do that right now. Got the other trees planted, so I'm gonna head over and see if the koi are hungry. I've fed them already a couple times today. The water is a little bit murky from all that rain we got. It should clear up in a day or so. But I think they're hungry. They always seem to be very active. I think they're going to be a nice addition to the pond. And I think I might have overfed them because they're disappeared already. Hopefully they'll come up and eat the rest of that. I made it through the power outage just fine. Generator kept the refrigerator and the sump pump going. It was only about 6 hours. It wasn't that many years ago that I didn't have a generator. I remember driving. I had a job that I was on the road a lot, and the news came on about a major power issue here in the Northeast. It affected several states. Something about main transmission lines from Canada or whatever. They said our power could be out for weeks. So I shot by the nearest Tractor Supply and bought a 4,000 watt generator. And I just wonder if later in the day how quickly they sold out and nobody could get one. But I got it home, and the power outage, it really wasn't that long. Whatever it was able to keep the refrigerator going and all that stuff. And then over the years, when the power would go out, I'd pull that generator out and run extension cords everywhere. And it wasn't too bad until about 3 years ago, a tree fell on my main line out by the road, and it destroyed the meter and the meter socket, and that's where the line comes from the pole and goes to the underground. And that was going to be on me to fix. So I had to set up an electrician and go through all that, and I ended up being out of power for, it was at least 5 days. Boy, did I get tired of unplugging this and plugging that in and tripping over the extension cords. I just realized how I needed to do something better. So I started looking into generators, and my first thought was, I'm going to get a whole house generator that maybe it automatically switches on and I don't have to lift a finger. Well, that's pretty cost prohibitive, and they use a lot of fuel. I didn't realize how much fuel they use, the big ones. So as I was reading about them, I started learning about inverter generators, and that's what I ended up going with. They just seem to be a lot better all around. They are more expensive, but they produce a cleaner power. They're a little bit quieter, and they have an eco mode where when you're not using so much electricity, they can idle down and run at a slower speed, which definitely saves fuel. So then I was looking into the dual fuel, where I have a gas log fireplace, so I have 100-pound bottles for propane. I was thinking it'd be great to use propane instead of gas, but as I was reading about it, some of the decent size inverter generators would go through a whole 100-pound bottle within just a day or a day and a half, depending on your usage, obviously. But the last time I got that bottle filled, it was over $80. So you could wrap up a lot of money in a long-term outage using propane. And I don't have propane heat, so I don't have one of them big 500-pound tanks. But I know hauling that 100-pound bottle out to get it filled and bringing it back, and it's a real pain. So it's a lot easier to fill up a 5-gallon cans of gas and put stabilizer in it so they last a little bit longer. And another thing about propane, when you run it through a generator, it doesn't have the same BTUs as gasoline, so your generator is not going to put out the same wattage. So that's another negative. So I crossed that off the list. And Then I started downsizing the generators, figuring, well, I don't need to run everything in the house. You know, what do I really need? And it's the basics. It's the lights, the refrigerator, the sump pump, coffee maker, microwave, that sort of stuff. And this 6500 watt would handle that fine. You know, maybe I'd just be careful not to run the coffee maker and the microwave at the same time or whatever. So that's what I went with. And this last power outage, it worked great. I was just able to go down in the basement and switch off the main, and then I have this fed through the house, so I don't have to run extension cords. And so when I walk in a room, I can flip this light switch and the lights come on. Ceiling fans running, I can put a box fan in the window, whatever. It just felt pretty normal during that outage, so it wasn't a problem at all. So that's what I'd suggest if you have the ability to do, is to get an inverter generator and make sure you have it on hand, because I'm hearing that one terrorist attack in the right place could put us out of electricity for a long time. And then you have your natural disasters like what we had yesterday. So that's it. I hope you've all had a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.